Hey guys, what's going on? Absolutely Beast, bringing you guys another video today. So, I was gonna upload something yesterday, but I realized that, this had already been a couple days, but I realized that Forza was gonna be releasing, at least the past few weeks, they've released their new car list on Monday, so I decided I'd wait a day, and well, here I am, and they have not released anything today, so, this may be going up Tuesday. I did check again, just to make sure there's nothing still, and there's not. So they have not released a new list of cars. So we'll have to wait and see. I'll surely bring you another video whenever that happens. This is a race on the Nürburgring. It's using a BMW. I honestly couldn't tell you the name of the BMW. It does sound really good though. It sounds like a V8. But you know, I don't know. I couldn't tell you the name of the BMW. Sorry. So I want to talk today about what I'm calling for myself, as I've been seeing. You know, obviously everybody's excited right now about Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather, and so I've just been seeing a lot of stuff on that on YouTube. Not watching so much, but just seeing thumbnails and titles and stuff. So I'm calling this my Forza 7 training camp. So I said to a friend of mine recently that just the other day that I wanted to, by the end of August, start getting back into playing Forza every single night, because I don't play it every night right now. I haven't played in a while. Haven't played in probably a week, or more. I don't even know, honestly. But I've been playing Dying Light, which is a game I bought that I've just been sort of messing around with, which is actually pretty fun. You got to get your dose of blood and gore, right? So, but I wanted to get, for at least a month, I wanted to have at least a solid month to really get back into the racing. Obviously race every night, at least an hour if I can. At least an hour, and then I mean more if I can. But now that I'm thinking about it, I'm starting to think maybe I should start earlier. So, maybe within the next week or so, I'm going to start playing Forza again. I'll start getting myself prepared because, it does take a lot of practice. It's one of those games that you have to practice a lot. And, in order to stay competitive, because the guys who are racing at the top are always playing and stuff like that. So anyway, I wanted to get back in shape for Forza and get back ready to go. And also not only that, but the last maybe month I've only been racing the career and the showcase events anyway. So I'm really, by the time I get going again, I'll really be like 2 months removed from the multiplayer, which is pretty significant. I figured it'd take me at least a month to get back into it. If I want to get back into it and get back to the same level I was even just a couple months ago, I'll probably have to give myself about 6 weeks. So I'm going to start doing that soon. I hope I see some of you guys out there, getting prepared and getting ready. I don't know how many people who are Forza fans play the Horizon games. I don't personally. I haven't owned any of them. I did play the demo for Forza Horizon 3. Back maybe, I guess it would have been like summer of last year, but other than that, I don't play the Horizon games. I'm not much for that type of racing, although that's what I started on. Well, it's not what I started on. I guess I started on more of a motorsport type racing, on like a game for the Super Nintendo called Top Gear 2. If any of you remember that, that was really cool. You got to race through a career that did not save, so every time you started the game, you would have to start over from the very first race, and then you'd race progressively harder races as you went, and you could upgrade the engine of your car, the suspension, the front and rear bumper, so you took less damage. You could upgrade the tires, and you could upgrade the nitro. And it was absolutely a motorsport type game, very much about the race, and no screwing around, no drifting or anything stupid like that. And then I moved on to like Cruisin' World on the N64, which was a really fun game. And that was a little more lighthearted, but in the single player you could use turbos, which you could not use in the multiplayer. I played with my sisters a lot when I was younger, as you do when you're a kid. But then I started playing the single player because they had like time trial type races where you could get into unlocking special cars by completing each track in a certain lap time on a certain track, which is really fun for me. But then after that, when I got the Xbox 360 in 2005, that's when I started with like the other type of racing games. I had played like Need for Speed Underground 2, one of my friends had, and I played like a little bit of like Gran Turismo, maybe like 3 or 4, whichever one of them had like a white cover. on a PS2. But yeah, then I started doing, Need for Speed Most Wanted was the first game that I got on the Xbox 360. And then I started playing like Need for Speed Carbon and stuff. So those were sort of where I really got my start in racing games. But the racing simulators are where I found it later. I mean, when I first got Forza Motorsport 2, I couldn't even stay on the track. And I know that's the same experience that a lot of people have who race these type of games. And again, I wouldn't call this like I don't know if I'd call it a full racing simulator. I mean, I still like to call it a racing simulator because it is. I mean, it has real physics and it has, stuff like that. Like you can't, and each car handles differently, specific to how the actual car would handle. So I still think it is a driving simulator, but definitely not as, simulator heavy as some of the other ones out there. But I mean, I'm sure that most of you have had that same experience. Sometimes you just, like when you haven't raced this type of game before, or when you use a car that's too fast for you, I mean, you really literally can't keep it on the track. I mean, like, you take the first turn and you're crashing. So, in that sense, I can kind of understand why there's accidents a lot on Forza when you're racing online, because, a lot of people people may be brand new to the game, and they may not have any idea how to do it. And, I mean, of course, if you're used to, like, a Need for Speed type game, and you're flying around corners and ripping the e-brake, or, drifting and stuff like that, I mean, it's not, you're not going to come in here and do very well. So, that's also the reason why I got off on this little tangent, was talking about, Forza Horizon 3, those of you who play that game, it may be worthwhile to start getting back into motorsport just so you can get more of that serious racing down. Because, I mean, you can race, and, you're not going to lose as much if you're racing on, Forza Horizon. You're not going to lose as much as I am while I'm, beating zombies up on the head with, rusty pipes and, farmer sickles and stuff like that. I mean, you're definitely not going to be losing as much as someone like me is. But, I just kind of wanted to take a breather from the racing. I know I'm going to be heavy into the racing these next few months, since Forza's coming out and Project Cars 2 is coming out. Be a lot heavier into the racing. Yeah, I mean, it's just really, it's going to be fun. I can't wait to get back to it. I always struggle. I feel within like, probably 2-3 weeks, I'll probably be back to, pretty decent. Because you can gain most of it back. Probably getting 80% of it back, but that extra 20% takes another few weeks to get back, because you're just, you have to be really in tune with the car. So I'll probably race, a bunch of different, not a bunch of different classes, but I'll probably race X class for sure, and R class for sure, and then I really want to do P class. I kind of refell in love with the Audi R18 when I first started playing Forza Motorsport 5 several years ago, I guess it would have been 2013, early 2014. That was the car I settled on. I mean, I had raced so many different cars, and I got to the higher end cars, and I was racing like a Hennessy Venom and stuff like that, because I thought that was such an epic car. And then I kind of found the Audi R18 through the career, and I thought, like, man, this car's awesome. And then I ended up driving that. I think I put like 18 or 20 hours in, and that was when I didn't have really any time in the game. I mean, I probably had only played like a few hours in the multiplayer. And so then I ended up just playing like 18 or 20 hours on that car, and that's sort of what I learned on as far as like the real racing. And that's the car that sort of opened my eyes to like downforce and real race grip and stuff like that. Being able to mash the throttle through a turn that you didn't think you could, and braking really late and all that kind of stuff. And in a lot of ways, those cars are sometimes more impressive than like Formula 1 cars, because they're not, like, Formula 1 just happens at such a different speed. And it happens so quickly. It's sometimes it's a little overwhelming. But the cars in the P class, like, that's a cars, you have like the Koenigsegg 1-to-1 in there. You have, the Ultimate GTR, a few other cars like that. But really, the Audi R18 is a really high downforce, a really grippy, all-wheel drive car that's just really sick, and it sounds amazing. And I had forgotten, that was one of my more popular videos from Forza 5 that I put up, and I had forgotten, but I've really fallen in love with that car since, I got in my way a little bit. Again, this is a career race, or a showcase race, so these are not actual real cars I'm racing against, and that's the other thing I'm worried about too. I was sort of realizing that when I was watching my own videos. Obviously I have to watch them when I do these voiceovers, and I just think, like, man, I am just hitting cars left and right, and making aggressive passes and stuff. I mean, this is not good for me. This is not going to bode well for me, because I'm going to have a hard time when I go back to the multiplayer. So that's also why I want to give myself a little extra time, get back into the swing of it. But, so yeah, I'll probably race X Class. I'll almost surely race X Class, and I'll almost surely race P Class. Because because I love that Audi R18. And then I might mess around in R. You know, that might be my most played class. Well, it is my most played class on this game. On Forza 6, I probably have 100 or 150 hours in there. So definitely want to get back into it. Definitely want to start going. And, you know, this is going to be my training camp. Got to get back in racing shape, you know. Falling out of it and taking my break, and I'm just sort of taking a breather. I didn't really play any games for a while, and then I started messing around on Dying Light, which is pretty fun. And pretty gory, which I like. I do like those type of games. So I also have Doom that I haven't even messed around with. So I've got a bunch of other stuff, but I don't really know where it's going to go from here, to be honest. So, yeah. Pretty excited. Hopefully they release some information soon about the cars. I'll certainly bring that to you guys when it happens. Should happen within the next day or two, I would imagine. I'll keep checking, and I'll bring it to you when I can. So thank you guys for checking this out. I appreciate it. If you like my content, subscribe. I try to upload pretty regularly. I at least get a couple videos a week, not daily, or sometimes not even every other day, but definitely a couple videos a week with new information when I have it, and sometimes just, you know, videos like this that are just talking about something else, just to kind of keep it, you know, kind of keep everything going, because I don't want to have these big gaps where there's nothing. But it's hard because there's big gaps where there's no information coming out about Forza 7. But anyway, check out my other videos if you want. There's plenty of other videos, especially in the last month or so, 2 months, that I've uploaded about the game. And thank you guys for checking it out. I really appreciate it. One take. Woo!